Welcome back to another action-packed filled episode of the Up North Journal, everybody. As always, I'm your host, Mike Adams, and my furry little co-host tonight.
Yeah, Mike Adams. Hey, what's up? What's with the furry thing?
I don't know. I just threw it out there. And always remember, we are part of the Outdoor Radio Network, and now we are also part of Skinny Moose Radio, Tuesday afternoons at 1 o'clock from skinnymoose.com. You can go over and check it out. So, here we are, Mike. Another action-packed week. Actually, we spent 3 days of the 7 outside doing something. I mean, we had a pretty heavy weekend here.
Spring break is fun.
Yeah, it was for you anyway. I spent a lot of money on gas driving up and down the road, but we did. We got out and we had a good time and did quite a few things. So we should have a pretty good episode here for the guys tonight. And I don't know, where do you want to start it off?
Let's start off on Friday.
On Friday. Well, Friday. We actually talked about this. It's something we did Friday. We talked about this on an episode way back, and I want to say it was like, I know it was in the first 10 episodes of the show when we started last year. Matter of fact, before we even get started, what are we, 2, 3? I think we're 3 weeks away from our 1-year anniversary.
Cool.
It's going to be pretty awesome. We're going to see if we can come up with a new intro and open for the show and for our 1-year anniversary. We actually tried it tonight, but man, we couldn't come up with nothing but a bunch of bloopers. So, but anyway, the first thing we did Friday was we got out and we went geocaching. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's like a big treasure hunt.
For big kids. For
big kids and little kids. So you basically get a GPS and you go to a website called geocaching.com. And you log on there, you put in like a zip code of where you're at, and this thing all of a sudden starts popping up all these geocaches. And what there is it's a little tiny treasure box, or it can be really anything that somebody hides. And you have to go out and find it. And when you find it, you write your name in the book and when you found it. And then you go back to the website that you have to register for. It's free. And you log on and you just see how many caches you can find. And actually, we've got 4 caches hidden, and you've got 1 hidden.
Yeah.
And I think I'm pushing almost 200 finds now on mine. And you started last year with your own little login page, so you're almost to 100 now.
Yeah, my cache is behind the Golden Arches.
Behind the Golden Arches. Gee, I wonder what that would be.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's pretty fun. You know, the kids dig it. We get out and drive around and, you know, take the GPS and go stumbling through the woods and through parking lots and who knows what. And you never know what you're going to find. It's kind of cool. And people look at you like you're stupid and you're crazy.
Like that one in Kroger?
Yeah, there's one in the parking lot of Kroger in a nearby town, and I won't say how they hit it, but people in the parking lot were looking at us like, what are you guys doing? I mean, you got to kind of be inconspicuous. That's the whole key to it. Because if people find these that don't geocache, I don't know, they probably think you're a terrorist or something, you know, planting some kind of bomb or who knows what. But
in a parking lot.
Yeah, in a parking lot, you know, but still, people look at you like you're weird. So, but we did quite a few of them where we got out and tromped through the woods. That was kind of cool. And we just got out and spent the day outside. And that's the best part of it, is you get to get outside. You get to go places that you'll probably never, ever see. I know we've been to, I don't know how many cool little out-of-the-way places.
Hiked up sand dunes.
It's just, you know, that you would never, ever find or go to had it not been for this little game that we play. And it's a lot of fun. It's a whole lot of fun. Matter of fact, one of our young guns, we can't call him a young gun anymore, Chuck.
Yeah.
It's been almost a year since we've met Chuck, so.
He's going to be pro staff pretty soon.
Yeah, Chuck, if you're listening now, you're no longer a young gun. You're just going to have to become part of the Up North Journal team, I guess.
Because we're out with you almost every week.
Yeah. He was MIA this week. He was playing down in Mickey Mouse Land, so.
Yeah, hanging with your boss.
We gotta get him back up here and get out and do some fishing. But what were we talking about? I forgot.
Geocaching. And then to Chuck somehow.
Oh, anyway, but yeah, we get out and do this little game, and it's a lot of fun. So, you know, the kids dig it. And it's some out of the way places that we've been to. It's incredible some of the things that we've saw. So it's get out with your kids, man. Go to geocaching.com, and it sounds just like you type it like it sounds. It's geocaching, geocaching.
It always gets me mixed up.
So just Google it. You'll find it, believe me. And it's a free registration. You sign up for the thing, and it's a lot of fun, believe me. It takes you to all kinds of crazy places. So And it's all around the world. That's another thing. So if you go to, like, say you want to go to Mexico, for vacation, you type out your pages beforehand, and you can go geocaching in Mexico or Japan or France or wherever. And they're all in the United States, too, so.
Go to Iraq.
No, I don't think so. All right.
Find a Sama.
Well, we did that, and then we made a little pit stop by one of our favorite little outdoor stores, stopped at Gator Mountain, picked up a few little odds and ends, getting ready for some fishing that we did this weekend, actually, and we'll get more into that later. And we also picked up a few things for turkey season, getting ready for that, a couple little odd and ends. So, it wasn't a really action-packed day, but, we got out and did something. So it was a lot of fun. So now, that was Friday. So Saturday, we had big plans. Go ahead, Michael.
We went to the Omer Sucker Festival.
It's not like you think of suckers going up, people going up for a festival and going, hey, sucker. Or it's not for people who eat suckers. It's for the fish sucker. And about this time every year, when ice starts, taking off the big lakes, and when the snow melts, the smelt and the sucker and all the other fish start swimming upstream, getting ready to spawn. In a little town called Omer here in Michigan.
It's a hole in the wall.
It's just a little tiny town, but it's on the Rifle River. And about this time every year, the suckers start running. Well, this week we had a lot of rain here, a lot of warm weather, and we had heard reports that the sucker were starting to, migrate upstream a little bit. So we planned an outing with my brother-in-law and his kids, and also one of his buddies went. So we made our way up there. And the biggest thing with the price of gas these days, we carpooled. It just costs way too much to be driving north and not try to, minimize your costs some way. So we all loaded up in the van with the kids. There were 7 of us going up there, and it was quite a treat going up there and being able to get out in the woods and sit by the river. So we'll tell them how the day went, Michael.
It was pretty crazy. There was a lot of people there, a lot of drunks.
There was, wasn't there? Yeah.
There was our first stop we made was right by the bridge, almost in town. Yeah. And there were tons of rednecks across from us. They're having the dip nets and stuff. Whenever they catch one, they go, sucker.
Yeah, for those of you who haven't really been around any of this type of fishing, I mean, we were using poles, with bait and, typical tackle and everything. But they've also got,
else was too.
That's what they call dip nets. And basically they have these big poles that stick out over the river, and they got this huge net on a chain, and they drop it down in the water, and then they crank it up. And it's completely legal, for sucker fishing. You just got to get your permit from the DNR, which is free, by the way. And you can dip these things and fill your bucket full or whatever you got, cooler. Yeah. But we saw, 10 or 15 fish taken up there when we first stopped. They really weren't hitting them hard, and we didn't catch anything there at all. And so we had to make our way downriver a little bit, up closer to the bay where they come in, off the big water. Went, what was it, about 3 or 4 miles upstream? Yeah. And on some state land there, and you walk back through the woods a little ways, which is really neat, and got to see a little bit of wild game while we were there.
Yeah, we saw some ducks and we saw some squirrels.
Yeah, what kind of ducks?
We saw one wood duck fly up the river. That was pretty cool. No one else saw it except me.
I seen it. Yeah. Didn't you see me pull up to shoot?
No.
With my pretend shotgun?
You mean your fishing pole?
Yeah. Actually, I probably would have done just about as good the way I shot ducks this year. But yeah, we got down there and we fished. I don't know, must have been 2 or 3 hours. Caught 3 fish, and this guy comes down, 5 people down from us, and starts catching them. And we're still standing there like, what's the deal? Nobody, we're not catching any. And then the guy next to him that came down with him, he's catching them. There's 3 or 4 guys there, and they're starting to catch these fish. So we're kind of watching, You don't want to be rude and go, hey, what are you catching them on, You just kind of watch. And I don't know, was it you or Uncle Les that noticed what they were using?
No, it was
Scott.
Buddy, Scott. He overheard him talking, and he was like, rubber sponge, and Uncle Les is like, rubber sponge, what's the difference between that and sponge?
Yeah, he thought it was a sponge, so... Yeah. You had actually tied some of those orange puff balls.
Yeah, I tied them by hand on the way up.
To make them look like a spawn sack. Yeah. So we started trying them and watching what they were doing and trying to mimic what they were doing. Still didn't have any luck. Yeah, they were still catching them. We didn't catch nothing. So when we left, we actually stopped and talked to the one guy. He actually gave Uncle Les a couple of fish, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
so that way he could have at least enough to put in the smoker when he got
No
back
one
home.
wants to keep them, though.
What's that?
Sucker, except Uncle Us.
Well, they're bottom feeders, and really, I guess the only way I've never eat any of them, but from what everybody tells me, the best way to eat to cook them is to either smoke them or put them in a pressure cooker and pressure cook them, and can them. And they say either one of those two ways they come out really nice, but otherwise they're real fishy tasting and just not real good. Like I said, they're a bottom feeder, but evidently they're a lot of fun to catch. But yeah, he got 3 or 4 from that guy, so he had enough, 7 or 8 fish there to put together to put in the smoker anyway. So
yeah.
But when we started talking to that guy before we left, he told us exactly what they're using. It was rubber spawn, not sponge. Yeah. But what I wondered is why we were using those foam, or not foam, but those fuzzy puff balls that you had tied on the way up, and they looked just like what they were using, except they were fuzz instead of foam, or not foam, instead of rubber.
Well, I think was they told Scott that they were fishing off a sandbar.
Yeah, that could have made a difference right there in the bend of the river.
Yeah.
And not only that, but they come in a bag and they're all oily. So I think that they've got something on them.
I think they dipped them in scent.
Yeah, some kind of scent or something that they're using on them. And they were also using treble hook.
Yeah.
And here in Michigan, one of the laws for using them for the suckers, it's legal to use a treble hook if you've got one of the shanks covered. Because we were using perch and crappie rigs, so we had 2 hooks suspended. And you can only have 2 hooks. So with a treble hook, what they're doing was putting the spawn bag and covering the shank on that treble hook, which made it legal.
That's what we were doing with their sponges.
So, it's kind of a different way of fishing with those. I've never used them before, but, hey, whatever works. But no, we didn't get into them, and we're going to try to get back up there next weekend, if possible, to get after those. Camp out maybe even. So.
What was funny is that canoe coming down river.
Yeah. Yeah, we're right in between 2 bends of the river, and we hear something, we hear a bunch of people yelling and hooting and hollering, and here comes 4 guys in a canoe, and they weren't the guy in the front and the guy in the back had paddles, and then there was 4 guys in this canoe, and then in the middle of them, huge cooler of beer, and they're hooping and hollering, but they're not coming down, nose to tail, they're coming down the river sideways. And I'm thinking, man, if they hit anything, they're going to dump that thing and roll. But, they came around the bend, then they went around the other bend, and away they went, Everybody was laughing at them, having a good time. So
the thing was only like 7 foot long.
It was a short canoe. It wasn't that short, but, it couldn't have been over 12 foot. 14 at the most. And there's 4 full-size guys. That canoe was riding about 4 inches out of the water. It was like I said, man, and they were going sideways. One wrong move, man, and they'd have been in the drink, no problem. So... But, I guess whatever floats your boat.
Yeah.
So.
In their case, beer.
Yeah, I guess it was. But then we came back. After we got home, we got back about 6 o'clock that night.
Yeah.
What'd you want to do?
I wanted to go over to Panema.
And do what?
Check to see if the ice was out.
He made me drive down to the south side of town and check to see if the ice was off yet. We've been checking a lot of the lakes around here lately. And there are quite a few of them that the ice is starting to come off of them. The south end of Lake Fenton is actually completely open. My dad's channel is completely open. And 2 other smaller lakes are completely open. But the north end of Lake Fenton still had ice on it. And the cove over on the west side still had ice. So, I was kind of skeptical of whether there'd be ice on Panema or not. We actually got over there, and that evening, before we came home, and is about half open maybe?
Yeah.
So, with that being said, then this morning, what did you want to do?
Go out there and fish.
And what do? We went
out there and fished.
So, yeah, we got up this morning. Last night we got the boat ready, didn't we? After we came home, we got the boat ready and brought the motor up from downstairs, got that put on, flipped the boat over, got it on the trailer and everything, got everything ready. So, in all reality, what he wanted to fish, but what I want to do is test drive it and make sure everything was ready for it before we went down for our Ohio turkey hunt, because we're going to take the boat with us and do some fishing while we're down there. And it was a good way to do a little test run on it today when we got out there. So we got up this morning, got everything ready, and we actually headed over to the lake and put in. And some of the ice over there is still thick.
Yeah, it didn't like the ice too much.
We
try breaking their hit.
Well, we cut a couple little corners there as we're going through, and some of the ice there was still almost a half-inch thick. It was thicker than what I thought. So we stayed off, stayed away from that. But as we're going back in, we saw one spot that actually still had some color to it, and that ice I would say was probably a good 2 inches thick. And you just got to watch out when you're out there. But yeah, we got out and threw some lines in the water.
Saw a lot of ducks.
A lot of ducks, and some geese. What kind of ducks were the ones that you were talking about that we saw?
There was about 6 or 7 pintails out there.
And there's some buffleheads too, wasn't there?
There was a few buffleheads, I think.
Yeah.
And then a ton of mallards.
And they're flying everywhere.
Yeah.
And, of course, we saw a bunch of
seagulls.
Flying rats, as I call it.
Yeah.
I hate those things.
You scared that one, and then it kept flying over the boat. I thought it was going to poop on us.
Yeah, it tried to come back after me. I'd have thrown my rat at it or something.
Yeah.
But, so, for 3 days, we did quite a bit, we spent the day out Friday running the geocache route, and then Saturday we went up fishing, and that was an all-day event. Got back, got the boat ready, and checked the lake, and then this morning we got out and checked the lake, or went out and actually got on the lake, so to speak. So it wasn't too bad. So for 3 days out of 7, I guess we were pretty busy.
Yeah.
So it was a good spring break for you?
Yeah, I got sleeping a lot.
Sleep in some, huh?
Yeah, until noon every day.
Just about, except for the last 3 days when we got out and did something. But one other thing we did, and actually we did today, is we got out and we took some pictures of those decoys. And actually I want to bring that up towards the end of the show, talking a little more about turkey season and getting ready for that. And something else we did is we tried to put the new truck tent on the truck. I actually picked that up this week. And we've talked about it a little bit here off and on for the last 2 or 3 weeks. Got that thing out, and I actually got the wrong one. And
like we almost did at Cabela's.
Oh, man, I am so glad. Guys, if you got new gear and it's something really major, even like the boat we were talking about, do a dry run before you get out and go do something. There's no excuse not to, because had we taken that thing up north to camp out next weekend, we'd have been hosed. Or had we taken it to Ohio, we'd have been hosed. So it's a good thing that we were going to try to put that on the truck today, and it didn't work out. Got a hold of the gentleman, and I'm going to go up north next weekend, give us another excuse to go somewhere, and actually go up and pick it up from him and get it swapped out, so we can get that taken care of. But we'll talk a little more about that and the turkey decoys that we put out and took pictures of. We'll talk more a little about that at the end of the show. So, but right now what I want to do is take a quick break, and we'll be right back after this message.
If you're looking for the best in outdoor hunting and fishing podcasts, look no further than the Outdoor Radio Network. Each week we have dozens of podcasts devoted to outdoor sports, with shows like On the Water with Bob Murray, Bass Champ Journal, Surf and Shore Fishing, just to name a few. Check out all outdoor podcasts on the OutdoorRadioNetwork.com.
Welcome back, everybody, and now to our outdoor news of the week. And we've got a couple different interesting articles here, and I've got one that's going to be really long and drawn out over an issue that's happening here in Michigan. So let me touch base real quick on these other topics really quick so we can devote a little more time to the one I mentioned. We had some sad news to report here this weekend. For those of you who are NRA members, you obviously know Charlton Heston was the former president of the NRA, and he passed away April 6th, so that would have made it.
That's today.
That is today. Okay, so he must have passed away earlier this morning. So we've lost a pioneer that fought for our Second Right Amendments, and our condolences go out to his family, obviously. Now, going on to a little better news here. We talked about family of field success here recently, and the different states that's had success in getting laws passed to get the youth out into the woods and letting them hunt at younger ages. And Wyoming this week became the 24th state to enact a family of field style legislation that helped to remove some barriers for new hunters. So 24 states, Michael, that's almost half the United States here in the last year or two, has made strides to bring youth hunters out and get them out into the field earlier and expose them to more. So we can't do nothing but applaud these guys for all the work that they're doing for young hunters. And actually, you've been fortunate enough that you've been able to take part in your first deer hunt, firearm hunt, 2 years earlier than what it would have been had that law not passed here in Michigan.
Yeah, if it would have passed 2 years before, I could have already been hunting.
Yeah, you could have been hunting at 10, you know, small game and duck and all that. But, you know, you did get to experience something earlier than most people did before then. You know, like I said, I was 14 before I could get out and hunt. So it's fortunate that law passed when it did. Obviously, I know you would have liked to have been out and did some small game hunting at 10, but
2 extra years.
Speaking of new hunters, there was an article in the USA Today this week that was talking about girls and women and getting involved in the outdoors. There was a survey done, a national survey of hunting, fishing, and wildlife associated recreation done by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And they've been reporting here, and this is no big news, that there's been 11% decline in the number of hunters nationwide from 1991 to 2006. But helping to fill that gap has been women and young girls getting out and getting exposed to the outdoors. And their numbers have increased 50% here since 2001 to 2006. They've seen a 50% increase in those numbers. So that's great news. The bad part is, obviously, we're still losing numbers, but we are finding new hunters in different places. So, you know, Mackenzie, my daughter, she's going to go on her first turkey hunt here pretty soon. You know, she went on her first bow hunt last year, thanks to the new laws that allow kids to hunt at age 10 here in Michigan. And so, you know, it's good news. What are you smiling at?
I was smirking because I couldn't hunt.
Because you couldn't hunt. You're mad, I know.
Yeah.
Okay. But you know what? It's still good news.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, little Jake, he's going to get to... Well, actually,
That's in Ohio.
He can't hunt in Michigan, so we're taking him to Ohio because there's no age requirement down there. But and one other good piece of news here, that last year we had the first National Hunting and Fishing Day. And obviously they're going to have it again this year, and it's supposed to be September 27th of this year. And their national spokesperson is none other than...
Michael Waddell.
And I know you like to watch his stuff on TV. So that's some good news, seeing Michael Waddell out there supporting all of us hunter and fishermen guys. So now I want to get on to the other piece of news that we'd mentioned earlier, and is might take up a little bit of time. But last week, or actually it's been the last 2-3 weeks or so, there's been a couple new laws proposed here in the state of Michigan for hunting. And one of them is whether or not to legally allow people to harvest albino deer. And, you know, you get people with different views saying yes, no, whatever. But what I did not know is the reason this come up. I received an email, or actually a comment on my Hooks and Bullets blog that I write for, from a gentleman who is caught up in this controversy, and it's basically cost him everything. And now they're wanting to change the law to make it easier for people to distinguish, because it's hard to distinguish between an albino and a piebald. The one that he harvested back in 2004 was 98% white. It was a legally harvested deer, okay? It had a brown patch on top of its head and on the gambrels. And the eyes were brown. They were not pink, okay? And you say, okay, well, what's the big deal? You know, why did this guy have a problem? Well, he's caught up in a big mess with the DNR, and he was basically investigated as shooting a albino deer, even though it was not. It was confirmed that it was a legal harvest piebald, okay? And he's been through the court system trying to get this resolved, getting different people in the legislature to acknowledge what had happened. And basically, they took pictures of the deer, best of the recollection of what I remember reading on the internet and what he's wrote, that they took pictures of the deer, took them to DNR. It was confirmed that it was not a quote-unquote albino because of the colors of the eyes and the brown patches. Well, the DNR took it upon themselves to go to the taxidermist where he had the deer being prepared to have a full body mount. They went in and took hide samples off of that deer. They had no search warrant. Okay, they went in and took samples. I have a big problem with that. Even though it is in a place of business, it's still personal property. They had no right to go in and take that, in my opinion. To me, that's a violation of one of your constitutional rights of unreasonable search and seizure without a search warrant that ruined the hide, by taking a hole out, cutting holes in the hide and taking samples. So that was a huge issue. And also he claims, and I don't have the court records to verify this, and I can take this guy at his word and what he said because he's got the documentation to prove it. But he said that when he went to court to try to file a to try to file a civil lawsuit against the DNR for what they had done to him, that the officers lied on the stand under oath, which in turn got his case kicked out. Okay, and he's received a lot of grief and retribution in his community. He lost his business that he worked 10 years to build in the community. He's lost a lot of money trying to get this litigation taken care of. He was never ticketed for anything, and the biggest problem he's got with it is the fact that it's ruined his reputation in town. He's lost his business, and it was unreasonable search and seizure. Well, he's been going through the processes of going through the right channels to try to get this taken care of, and it's went all the way to the governor. It's went all, up through the DNR, up to their highest official there. He's went through all the proper channels to get all this taken care of, and he's still not getting any action on this. So I guess what I'm trying to do for this gentleman is get the information out there. We've already got posted on our Hooks and Bullets blog, and for you guys that maybe listen to the show for the first time, I write for another website. And if you go over to that website, and it's under a posting called Michigan Hunting Laws. There's 2 new laws, like I said, and this is one of them that's coming out. And that's where I first corresponded with this gentleman. And on there is a whole list of all of the issues going on. And that website is michiganhuntingtoday.com/hooks and bullets / and we'll also have this on our outline of the show here on the podcast website. But this guy just basically he's been through a living hell for the last, 2004, the last 3.5 years, and he still has gotten nothing resolved from it. And he's basically lost everything he's got. It's just one of the sad issues that we face here in a sport that all we want to do is just get out there, hunt and fish, and have a good time. And the guy did nothing wrong. He did nothing wrong. He was never ticketed, but yet and still it's cost him everything he's got.
Did this happen just like now, or did it happen 3 years ago?
This happened back in 2004.
No, the whole case starting up.
It started basically in 2004. Like I said, they went and they clipped the hide, cut the holes in the hide, taking samples without a search warrant. And, something like that, he could having a life-size mount done, he could probably have that and take it around and maybe make a little money doing that with shows and things because it's a unique type of deer, You don't see many of those. Not that there's anything wrong with harvesting one of those. There's nothing. An albino deer is genetically, it has a recessive gene. His was not an albino. His was piebald, which makes it even a little more different because it's got brown patches on it. It's got brown eyes.
Look better.
It's just a really cool looking animal.
Was it a buck or a doe?
It was a buck. And like I said, there was nothing wrong with what he did. He was never ticketed. He's faced a lot of grief over this, and there's no reason he should have. And the only reason that albinos are outlawed here in Michigan, which I found out later, is because somebody had a pet deer. They were feeding it, a wild deer, and it was an albino. And they happened to know one of the state legislative officials, and somebody was either shot at it or killed it. I can't remember which. This is back in 1990. So they got the state legislator to run this through the legislative process and got albino deer to be illegal to take. And that's the reason we can't take albino deer here in Michigan. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. But that's the reason now they're changing the law is, they don't want to put the burden of proof on the hunter who's out there to distinguish, number one, between a piebald and an albino. That's what they're saying anyway.
Why is he getting so much grief over it?
I don't know. That's There's people out there that just, they just don't want people to do certain things. It's like the antis who want to control what we do. The guy did nothing wrong, and like I said, he's facing retribution for this.
Yeah, but this is the DNR doing it.
I know, and that's what puzzles me about the whole thing. And I don't want to get into a big, huge issue of being pro-DNR or anti-DNR. I don't know why this happened. I don't know why they backed up on their story. And like I said, it should all be in the court record minutes of what they said and whether they changed their story or what have you. So I can't get into all that because I don't personally know. But if it's the case, why? Why are they doing this to this guy? That's what I don't understand. It just makes no sense of why the DNR would do something like this. So I would like to think that most of them out there do a good job and are honest. I personally know one DNR officer that I've just kind of started to get to know here in the last 3 or 4 months or so. So I don't know, Michael. That's a good question. I don't know why. I don't know. I guess we're just going to have to wait and let it all play out. We need to wait and see how the law is going to change, or if it's going to change. I mean, this is just a possibility. It's not done yet. It's not a done deal. So it's something that they're wanting to do. And now I see the reason why they want to do it is because of this issue. And I would have never known that had this gentleman not posted on my blog site. So just, it's really interesting to see the inner workings of why game laws get changed or how they get changed or the reasons why they, behind them. It's not always what we think. So it's a very interesting and unique story that's coming out, and I'm learning more about it every day. So that I'm going to keep up to date on this, hopefully. And matter of fact, I just talked to the guy in the commercial. During the commercial break here. I called him up and, we talked a little bit. And the first time I talked to the gentleman, and just trying to make sure that I understand what all is happening with this. And obviously, like I say, I don't know all the facts because there's just so many things that's going on with it. And we're just going to have to keep our eyes and ears open, and hopefully we'll learn something from this, and hopefully this guy will be able to resolve some of these issues. So with that being said, let's wrap up the outdoor news segment here. Let's take another quick break, and we'll be back with the end of the show.
If you're looking for the best in outdoor hunting and fishing podcasts, look no further than the Outdoor Radio Network. Each week we have dozens of podcasts devoted to outdoor sports, with shows like On the Water with Bob Murray, Bass Champ Journal, Surf and Shore Fishing, just to name a few. Check out all outdoor podcasts on the OutdoorRadioNetwork.com.
Welcome back, and on the best part of the show, Mikey's Game Bag.
You say that every week.
I know.
Well, how do you know it's the best part of the show?
I don't know. I just figured.
You just figured it's because you're talking, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, well, this week on Mikey's Game Bag, I'm going to be talking about fly tying some more. Like a while ago, I was talking about the kits that I bought and stuff, and actually, I'm in need for a new vise, and I'm going to be buying one pretty soon.
Now, tell everybody what you mean by a vise.
It's actually the tool that holds the hook while you
do all the tying.
Yeah.
Okay, so you wore yours out?
Yeah, mine was an old piece of junk.
Yeah, well, it is now, but I mean, you got a lot of good use out of it. It's just not one of the better vices, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was a starter kit.
Okay. Well, now what are you looking for?
I'm either looking for a cheaper rotator.
A rotaty. Is that like a tater tot?
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
After point. I'm either looking for a rotating one or another stationary one.
Okay. Now, what would be the difference between a rotating one and a stationary one? I mean, what's the advantage of having one that rotates?
A rotating one is so you can look at the fly at different angles, and you can actually, like, if you tie in like body material or something, you can actually crank the rotating handle, and it will go really fast. That way, you don't have to just go hand by hand around the hook.
Okay, so you use that to kind of help you speed the process up.
Yeah, well, I got all the time in the world, so
okay.
really I don't need a stationary one.
Okay, well, I guess the more important question is, price-wise, what's the difference?
Rotating ones are anywhere from $80 up to $700.
$700.
Yeah. Remember the high brand name ones.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what about the stationary one? What are you looking at for a stationary one?
Stationary ones they can be anywhere. Cabela's has one for like $10. It's a piece of junk. And they're anywhere from about $10 to up to maybe $70.
Okay, and you're looking at
the
probably
higher end ones.
You're looking at one of the better ones, obviously. Yeah. Okay. I know the one you showed me that you wanted to buy, the rotating one, was what, $80?
It was $80. It was a cheaper one.
Yeah, and then you look at the stationary one now that's probably one of the best ones, one of the higher end ones.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so now you've wore this vise out, tell everybody kind of what you've been doing here lately with everything.
Lately I've been getting ready for the summer and stuff and tying up some bass flies and some panfish flies. For today I tied up some crappie jigs and some flies. They're called Plan B.
Okay.
It's like basically like a woolly booger, a little woolly worm with a weight on the front, and it has little white legs sticking out all over the place.
Okay. Is that what you were fishing today when we were out?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I seen it on there. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you've been tying some panfish, some crappie, and some bass.
Yeah.
Okay. And then
actually, I got them right here with me, a lot of them.
Well, nobody can see those.
I don't know, you can though.
I guess I can describe them to you, folks.
These are all my bass ones. I have like some little poppers, stuff like that. Clouser minnows, which of you guys, it's basically just like a little bucktail minnow.
Okay, now that's the clouser?
Right here.
Okay. You know what you need to do, Michael, is seriously, guys, this kid can tie flies. It still just amazes me what he does with this stuff. But you need to take and maybe do some videos and put them on.
Actually, that's what I'm going to try to do tonight. I'm going to try to set up some camera angles, maybe do a little test run tonight.
Okay. And we can put them on our video page.
YouTube.
On YouTube or on myhuntingandfishing.com. Actually, that's where I got a lot of my stuff right now.
Yeah.
And we could put them there, or we could actually post. You could post them on your blog site. You've got your own blog site.
I haven't done anything with that for about a month.
Yeah, so maybe you can kind of devote it to that and put them on both places.
Yeah.
Let everybody see kind of what you're doing. And actually, we talked about this last week, that you actually tied flies and sold them. And how did all that pan out? No pun intended for panfish, but
yeah.
But how did that all resolve itself? I know last week you tied them.
Yeah, I mailed them out Wednesday, and actually the guy, he just got them today, I think.
Okay, because he posted on
Michigan
Sportsman.
He posted on Michigan Sportsman. He made a big thing, thanks to Fern Feathers Jr. Had a whole thing, tell everyone what he bought and stuff, so hopefully I can get some more people to buy some from me.
Yeah. If any of you guys out there listening want anything specifically tied, some hand-tied flies, this is the kid to get a hold of. Email him.
Email me, ask me if I know how to tie any of them. Or even if I don't know how to tie any of them, I'll figure out how to.
Yeah, he does a really nice job on these things. And we've caught fish on them.
Yeah.
I know them trout up north that we took to them, and them things just tore them up. And you've been doing the popper bugs and things like that, and we've had good luck with those too. So, but I
got like 4 boxes right now full.
He's been busy.
Yeah.
Like I say, he's wore the vise out, and it's time to get him another one. So I have a feeling we're going to be ordering one here really soon. So, is that it for Mikey's game bag this week?
Yeah, just talking about what plans are and stuff. And actually, from my first kit that I bought, all the materials are pretty much gone.
You've already used everything up out of that kit. Okay. I know you've bought a lot here recently too.
Yeah.
So, getting ready for fishing season. Like I said, we got out this weekend, and we actually put 3 of them out in the water today. But it's just the first time we've been on the water.
Yeah.
And the ice is still not completely out yet, and we want to get out there and hopefully get some crappie. But you actually taught, like you said earlier when we were talking about our trip up to Omer. You were tying flies on the way up.
Yeah, I was hand tying them.
In the van on the way up, tying little foam I don't know, what was he trying to imitate there, a spawn sack?
Little spawn sacks. I was tying them by hand. I didn't even have a vise, just holding them with my hands and tying them. That was hard.
Yeah. So he spent the time well going up north, used it wisely. But, yeah, we're getting ready for fishing season. I don't know. Turkey season's coming up. That's kind of where my heart is right now. I'm not as big into the fishing as you are. But,
I'm in between. More turkey.
Yeah. We're going to be getting after them here real quick. We've got to actually start seriously getting things together for that trip. And we've only got 2.5 weeks. It was 3 weeks from Thursday 3 weeks from Wednesday that we're leaving. So we're getting down to the nitty gritty now and have to start getting everything ready. And with that being said, we had talked last week about the decoys and all that. And today we actually took the new Montana decoys that we got. That's the 2D decoy, and we took them out into the field next to the house here and set them up. And we kind of compare and contrasted them with regular foam body decoys, and I think those are flambeaux that we got, aren't they?
Yeah, they're flambeaux.
With a flambeau hen and Jake decoy. And I was pleasantly surprised at the way the 2D decoys looked out in the field.
They look a lot more realistic.
They look more realistic than I ever dreamed they would have. I haven't put them to the test yet, in action out in the field. But the one thing that really surprised me too, they came in the box and they were in the little pack, the little carrier pouch that I ordered with it, And yeah, you look at it, and pick it up, and you're like, okay, cool, we got the stuff. But when we took it outside and put everything out, the ease at which they kind of pop open and you put the steak in them up through the little body sleeve on them, and it's got a little elastic strap that pins to the bottom side of the steak that goes on the ground, and they went up real quick. But the thing that was even more impressive is how fast that they collapse back down, and that you can put them in the vest or the little package that it came with, and how light that is.
Things about maybe the pack is about 1 foot long, 1 foot wide.
But
the thing's only about 3 inches thick.
Yeah, with them all folded up, and there's 4 decoys in there and steaks. Yeah. And that's what's, to me, is so unique about the whole idea, is they're light, and they carry, the way you carry them, it's just, they don't take up any room.
It's like a little turkey purse.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. But, it's like the size of a hubcap, literally. And you look at that flambeau that's sitting there right now,
It's twice the size.
You can't fold that thing up and put it in something that small. And that's just one hen. If you got 2 hens, you got your steaks, and you got your Jake, to me, it's just difference in night and day. Now, whether they work in the field, that's a different story. But I tell you what, we took pictures of them, and I actually took pictures of them sitting right next to. We put that flambeau right in the middle of the setup with Montana's. And what I'm going to be interested to see, because I haven't actually looked at the pictures yet, but from just the naked eye looking at them, you just glance across the field, you couldn't tell the difference. You know what I'm saying? You look like, okay, yeah, I know that's the flambeau because we put it out there. But when you just glancing across the field back and forth and just generally looking across that field there, from 30 feet away, they all look like they matched and belonged together. Now, the Jake decoy, that's a little bit different because when we set him up, he was looking at us in the same direction that we had the strutting Tom decoy from Montana. And that thing, that thing looked real out there. That
thing looks real.
That blew me away at how well that thing looked. But the Jake, the thing I didn't like about it is it set so high up off the ground, and that steak, even though it's red to mimic the color of the turkey legs, it didn't look real. It did not look, the leg part of it did not look like an actual turkey. So I guess if you're setting it up in some taller grass, it would be okay.
Well, we had it in that little clear-cut area in their field.
Yeah, well, that's where turkeys like to strut. Yeah. They get out in fields where it's nice and, open, or they'll get in a 2-track where they can be seen. That's what their whole strutting thing is about, being seen. And to me, that was the one dead giveaway on the other one. I don't know. Like I said, it's going to be interesting to see. But I've never really liked carrying decoys with me. I'd always stick a hen in my back of my pocket or whatever, in my backpack in a steak, and take that out with me. But I never, unless we're going up north to where we deer hunt at, and sit in a blind, when I'm running gun, I only take one decoy. But what's nice about those Montanas?
You can take 5.
I got 4 of them in that thing right there. Man, I can go out and I can slam them things up real quick.
Pop up like a pop-up line. All I have to do is flick it and be like, bam.
Yep. Yeah, they're all spring, kind of like a spring wire inside, and they just just pop right up. So.
And they fold a lot easier than pop-up lines too.
Yeah, they do. But I'm really curious to see what these things do in the field. I'm going to be putting the pictures on the Hooks and Bullets website this week and talking about how we went out and took pictures of them, talk about how they look, and the ease of them of setting up and the ease of carrying them. So you have to check those pictures out. So we've got that to look forward to. Speaking of our Hooks and Bullets website, there was a little bit of controversy this week that came out, and I don't want to get back so much into the news portion, but go over there and check that out about Hunters for the Hungry. I did 2 articles on it, and I got 1 more coming out tomorrow morning. There's been a lot of talk coming out of the hunting industry or the hunting groups about Hunters for the Hungry. We've been having to battle a group called the Peregrine Fund. The Peregrine Fund is the guys out in California who tried to get the lead ammunition ban, and one of their guys on their board happens to be I think it's a dermatologist in the state of North Dakota.
A foot doctor?
No, skin doctor, dermatologist.
Oh.
So he had this harebrained idea that he wanted to test some meat coming out of their food pantries, some venison that was donated by Hunters for the Hungry. Supposedly found a bunch of lead in it. Okay, I got a real big problem with a guy going and getting a bunch of meat, and they're supposed to go to, number one, it's supposed to go to the people who are less fortunate than us, and they give him almost 100 packages of meat, 96 pounds, 96 1-pound packages of venison, and all of a sudden it come up testing positive for lead, and they're claiming it was from lead ammunition. And it just so happens that's the same group that he belongs to that got the ban over in California. And just so happens they're having a huge meeting in Idaho coming up next month. What a better time to really push their agenda and have this blown out in the media. So, but
Are they falcons?
No, I don't know. I just know that they're out after us. I don't think they're actually falcons.
Yeah.
But the Peregrine Fund, I imagine it has to do with some kind of, with the peregrine falcon, or the reason they use that name. But anyway, the state of Iowa, they pulled all their meat off the shelf, the venison off the shelf from the food pantries, but they tested it, and they found nothing wrong with it. So that's cool. So it's just...
but they pulled it off?
They pulled it off and so they could test it.
Oh.
You know, the state of North Dakota, they threw all theirs away without testing it, which I had a big problem with that too, because then there's no way to do a follow-up test to see if his test was bogus or not. You know what I'm saying? They couldn't test the same batch of meat. And when there's nothing to test and compare it to, then, you know, they're saying his test was the only test and that it was good, and, you know, I mean, it was a foolproof test and all that. So I got a real problem with somebody who's trying to ban something and then doing a test and finding something wrong so they can say, yep, see, there's something wrong with it. We got to get rid of it. But that's over on the new website. And something else I had to deal with this week on our regular hunting blog. In the last 2 weeks, we've received 2 different comments, and both of them were embedded with viruses. And I have a real problem with somebody coming on the website and pushing a comment as a legitimate comment and pushing it as a virus. And I don't know how they're getting... It's some of the stuff that's just generated on these blog sites. So unfortunately, what I'm having to do is you're going to have to sign in with a confirmation now and type in these characters to make sure we're not getting spammed. So that way it's protecting all of our guys. You know, I don't want somebody getting a virus on their computer because they're looking at our website.
Yeah. Because
some stupid programs out there randomly throwing stuff out. So
you got the guy's username?
It's not the same person. It's one of these random spam type things that come out and
anonymous.
Yeah, and put this stuff on. So we're just going to make it a little harder for you guys to comment, but it's going to be safer. So just bear with us on that. And that's on our Up North Journal hunting blog. But like I said before, we're still writing for the other one, Hooks and Bullets. And I'd appreciate you guys if you go over there and check that site out. that's the one I'm really dedicating a lot of time to right now. It's kind of where my heart and soul is. It's a little edgier, a little more controversial. And if you go through there and read some of the comments and some of the things that we're talking about, you'll see why. Because, we like to mix it up over there. And, it's not so much about arguing. It's points of view. And I love to debate things. And I'll debate with anybody about anything that I have knowledge about.
Look with that lady.
Well, that was more of an argument, but she started that. But, that's what it's all about. We're here to pass along information and talk about stuff back and forth. And that's how we further our outdoor experiences and heritage and pass it on to our kids, is by talking about things and, sharing our experiences. And that's what this whole show's about even. So I just, like I said, if you guys go over and check out that, I'd appreciate it. So there's been a lot of good information passed on that site here recently. Our good buddy Bob Rich out there, he was had a lot of questions about different calibers of pistols and things. And one of my buddies here that's actually going to be helping out with the show a little more here.
Pro staff.
Yeah, pro staff. I don't know. We'll see. There's no pros here. We're not sponsored, but my good buddy Kevin, they've been talking back and forth and sharing a lot of good information. So, that's what it's all about. If you guys got anything you'd like to talk about, or anything you want us to research, feel free to email us or comment on the blog. Shoot us a line and we'll get something started. That's what I like to do. So feel free to email. One other thing I would like to mention that we recently done here in the last 2 weeks or so, we got new hats and shirts for the Up North Journal, and the shirts are probably a little more for us for being on TV and video and stuff like that. But what we're thinking about doing, and guys, I really want your input on this. So I want your emails. You know how to get to our email. Go to upnorthjournal.com, and on the front page there is an email link to myself. It's Michael Adams at upnorthjournal.com. That's pretty easy. So we want to know, are you guys interested in buying hats and T-shirts? I do have extra hats here now available, and it's a nice little khaki-colored hat with mixed in with some camo. Has the Up North Journal logo on it.
Take some pictures and put them on the website.
I'm going to, yeah, I'll do that. And they're embroidered, stitch embroidered. They're really nice. And I can get these and sell them to you for $20 plus shipping and handling, which I don't know how much that would be. I got to imagine it'd be less than $3 or so. I could probably do a 3-day priority mail for $3.95. But I can see if I can get it done cheaper. But it's a real nice hat. And we're thinking about doing T-shirts also. And if that's something you're interested in, let me know. And I can kind of see what the cost would be on that. And let me know if you are interested. Say, how much would be too much to pay? Is it $15, $20? I don't know. Because depending on the price range, I can get a lot better shirt too. Like I said, emails. Let us know what you think. And I don't know, man. I like that logo. It's got a big bass jumping out and a big old buck on it. I don't know. We're getting into merchandising now. I don't know. How did that work out? But no, the hats were cool, man. I really like the hats. I think they did a real nice job on them. And everybody likes hats, so we bought a couple extra one of those. And like I say, if you want one of those, I know I can get those for $20. You can't buy a hat anywhere for $20 anymore that looks decent. So
pretty soon we'll be selling coffee mugs.
Yeah,
like
window decals,
decals,
all kinds of stuff.
Mouse pads.
So, but hey, we're just here to have a lot of fun, and that's what we've had here this week for sure. So, I don't know, man. I don't think I got a whole lot left for the show tonight. I'm just, guys. If the show's kind of seemed rambly tonight, I'm just wore out.
Yeah,
it's been a hard 3 days here. Not hard as in physically hard. We just been doing a lot, and it's kind of got the better of me this week. But we did have a lot of fun. You're tired too, aren't you? You're over here yawning now.
Yeah.
So you got anything else you want to throw at him?
No, I'm good.
You're good.
I'm tired.
You're tired. It's time to go to bed. All right. Well, listen, guys. That'll do it this week for us here on the Up North Journal. Hopefully next week we're hoping to get back up to Omer and do a little more fishing. But if we don't, I'm sure we'll find something exciting to do, and we'll get out there and get after it. And if you've got any ideas, like I said before, feel free to email us on something that you may be interested in. Or if you've got a comment, if you don't agree with us on something, let us know that too. Like I said, I like to talk, and we'll talk about it. So with that being said, that'll do it for us this week. And as always, shoot straight and be safe if you're in the outdoors. Until next week on the Up North Journal.